Yeah. No, this
Now,
is
Jane,
good.
if I am getting this right, we want, like, when we were doing local line, you guys, or like Cara did the markup for the fees and all the other stuff. Do we want to do, if we're putting in our listings, do we want to add the markup at that point in time? Instead of, do you know what I
No, I
mean?
don't think so. I don't think so. And Colby, maybe you can weigh in on this. So we're going to have each producer set up their product list, get their own registration set up, but then we want to set up a hub that we're planning to buy a subscription for, you know, a full year's worth of hub subscription and pull product into there. And so as a hub, that's where we want to apply our markup, right?
Correct. Yep. And so that hub will be able to add, whether it sounds like maybe you just have a flat 25%, but you could also add various different fees of like, oh, a per order fee or a pickup fee or like the credit card payment fee, things like that. So yeah, the idea is that each producer that's kind of supplying stuff to the hub puts kind of the price they're getting of that. Because then when when customers see that pie, they'll see that kind of producer's dollar value, and then they'll see the dollar value of whatever markups.
Okay. Well, I think got through about everything I had on my mind for tonight. Unless anybody has anything else, I'd say happy adding products and signing up.
I really
Thanks for doing
appreciate
this,
this, Kent. Yeah, I need this. So thank you very, very much. And you too, Colby.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm just really excited to see all this local food stuff getting legs. And so happy to help where I can.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yep. But we know that Jane has and Cara have a big job ahead of them setting up the hub and getting everything that part going. But at least us
Yeah,
as
that's
producers have a chance to get started. And that'll probably make it easier for doing the hub too.
Yeah, I've got a call with Cara Monday, so we'll get rolling on that side of things too. But yeah, the more the producers can do themselves, the better.
And Jane, I talked to Jane earlier today, and she did clarify that if you want to set up your own shop as a producer, so you could sell out of that also, the cost was $60 for 4 months or $120 for a year. So
Yeah, so registering and entering your products, like Kent was just showing, is free. But if you want your own yourself capability to sell from an online storefront in addition to the hub, then you pay individually.
Are we able to have our own subscription along with the market subscription, or is it one or the other?
My understanding is you can do both. You can have your individual subscription in your store and also have the market pull the product into the hub.
and for say a cottage food producer or like Jane with her meat, she could have her own store in addition to having her products on the hub.
Yeah,
Is the
that's
hub
one of the
thing
real
monthly?
assets of this platform is like you can supply multiple different hubs or aggregators and have your own store and all that within the same, even drawing from the same inventory and things like that. And cottage food's a really important one, which sounds like you've probably had to deal with, where cottage food, you can't work through an aggregator that's aggregating like delivery or money. That's just one of the specific rules to do with the exception that cottage food is. So
Yep,
definitely something we ran across in Finland.
yep. And the way we dealt with that for the online platform was the customer had to actually pick it up from the vendor at the market and pay for it directly to the vendor.
Does the hub charge a markup for the store? Or is it just that 120 or $60 a year, whatever?
So the 120 a year would be if you want your own store.
But do they
They're not
charge a
gonna-
commission on the sales? So if you sold $100 worth of product, are they gonna take 10 or?
If
No.
you're selling through your own store, I don't believe so, because you pay the $120 to have your own store.
Wow.
So if you sign up just as a producer, which I was showing you, you can still add your product, but you don't have to pay for that. And the hub can pull your product in and sell it.
Wow.
But say you're in Aiken and say you were going to sell at another market that was within your range. Or say you wanted to sell to local people in town, you could have your own store to do that without going through the hub.
Wow, and the
But you
platform
can-
itself doesn't take any money for that sale. They're just allowing you to do that 100%.
I think so. But
Yeah,
you're
I
still
mean, once
paying the
you
yearly
fi-
subscription fee.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Wow, that's generous.
You can limit, can you limit who is buying your stuff if you open a store? Cause I mean, if I were to sell my jellies, which I'm state certified, so I could do that. If I were to sell my jellies, I'm not shipping them to Finland or something. 'Cause I don't want to do that. Cause then you get into all that other stuff. So can you limit it to stuff like within the United States for certain things? And I definitely do want to ship my lettuce or anything. So,
Well, Don, Colby is in Finland, Minnesota.
oh, that's true.
Yeah. You don't want to ship it to me? Usually
suppose
that's
you could
dealt
get
with
by
as
with that
far
with
as
I suppose you could get by with at least with the vegetables by not clicking a shipping thing. Cause I mean, obviously I'm not shipping. I ship jellies. So that's why this intrigues me because $120 for a year is pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's amazing. They don't take commission.
Well, there's a
Yeah,
whole lot of
it's
things.
all yeah, it's all open source, like community developed and built. They have there's a whole community thing like that. There are like they encourage donations or things like that at various times with that mindset. But yeah, it's meant to be community driven, which is one of the draws for me, where it's not like some for-profit company that may or may not go out of business or is kind of closed and proprietary. Like if we wanted to create our own regional instance of this software, we could. Like right now, this website that you were just shown is the US hosted instance. But it's like people from all over the world working on it, which is why they only just recently added pounds. It used to all be metric.
Cool.
I did just throw in the chat. It's specifically catered to the Finland farmers market, but it kind of talks through some of those kind of steps that just went through today in a written format as far as how you add products and how you deal with different things. I haven't updated it super recently, but it should all still be current. One piece that we haven't talked about here, but once your aggregator entity gets set up, you will have to link your profile to that aggregator so that they can add your products. And there's a pretty simple process of doing that. That's also in that instruction sheet. But that will have to happen after the aggregator entity has been set up.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that all went over my head. Can you say that again?
They're like your profile that you create will have to be linked with the aggregator profile. So like in our case, the Finland farmers market is serving as the kind of hub, the aggregator. And so each of our vendors has to give us permission to add their products to our market store. And so there's just a small step that you as the vendor has to do to enable that. And there's like certain optional parts, like you can give, like, for example, Round River Farm can give the Finland farmers market permission to like adjust inventories if you want them to be able to like help fix if it's like mostly we set it up for if there's like less tech savvy people that want to be able to have some support of like, oh, I messed this up. Can you like fix that for me or things like that? So there's different levels of permission. I don't know if this would apply to any of you, but you can also like have multiple user accounts, have different edit controls of your farm store. If you have interns or workers that you want to be able to add products, but not like change all the advanced settings, you can set that up. So it's a
Well,
pretty
all I know
wild
is that-
system.
All I know is that Cara had to do a lot of fixing on my part last year, so I'm glad that that's gonna be an option.
Yes, which is why kind of my recommendation to my farmers market vendors was like, give me the permissions. So then if I do need to do that, I can. Because the hard thing is if somebody forgets to zero out all their inventories and I add their products and then it shows a bunch that they don't actually have. And so that allowed me to like zero out stuff where I was like, oh, I know they don't have that anymore.
Okay, folks, I think we've covered a heck of a lot tonight. And my Zoom meeting time is just about run out for the night. So I'll say thank you to all of you. Happy adding product. I'll save the chat before I sign off and save the recording. And we can maybe post the chat and the recording on the website somewhere. What do you think, Jane?
Mhm.
All righty.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you all
Thank you.
and good night.